This is a player that is emerging into becoming a star/superstar player maybe one day. I know Rav and Jack are much higher on his ceiling than I am, but that's Jaylen Brown. Every year since 2018, he has upped his scoring average by 7 points. In 2018, he averaged 13. In 2019, he averaged 20. And now this year, he's averaging 27 points per game. He's playing really well. He's shooting 52% from the field, 44% from three. His efficiency is off the roof. So what do you think is the reason why Jaylen Brown has taken such big of a leap?
I mean, one, he's just an incredibly hard worker, and I think we've seen that throughout his career. I used to be a huge doubter of him when he got that essentially max extension from the Celtics. I clowned them for it because he did nothing to deserve it up to that point, but they saw something that none of us possibly could, and he came in the next season, and he was one of the most improved players in the league last year. And then this season, he's come and take not the same jump, but at least a similar jump into, you could argue that he's become a star, depending on whatever. But it also helps. Jayson Tatum has been out for 5 games, I believe, which has been pretty much a third of the season to this point. So he's had to carry that load. Kemba Walker has been out pretty much the whole season up until last week. So he's really had to shoulder the load. It's given him more attempts and opportunity to step into that role. But you just got to give credit to him for being that dude, going to work this offseason and just improving as a player. I mean, his efficiency is through the roof, and he's still putting up the numbers. He's putting up better numbers than he was last year on better efficiency. So it's a lot of credit to him. And he's still a top-tier defender at the guard position in the league, I would say.
You be hating on Jaylen Brown. I don't know why you be hating on him. But
I just said if it was to get James Harden, I'd do it. I'll trade him.
No, I remember I was talking about how he was balling. He was like, yeah, it won't last. The efficiency won't last. That was 2 weeks ago.
We'll see at the end of the season if he's shooting 44% from three.
I don't think, because he takes 14 attempts. That's ridiculous. But
he doesn't take 14 attempts from three.
No, he really does. I'm sorry. 6, sorry. I'm looking at 2 points. I'm like, that was crazy. That would have been wild. No, yeah. Hard worker. I think last year when Kemba went down and we saw Jayson Tatum kind of step into that superstar role, I'm not saying Jaylen Brown's going to be, but I think he's kind of stepping into that star role where you're starting to see more of his game. You can tell he's worked on his ISO game, he worked on his one-on-one game. His efficiency has improved from all aspects. His field goal attempts have improved. He's starting to take 20 field goals every game, so that's something you see. His minutes are staying the same. So he's just become a more efficient, deadlier scorer. The defense is still there. He's still one of their best wing defenders on the team. And I think this is going to be good for Boston, because now you have that 2-wing tandem, and it's going to be scary for Kemba Walker, because you've seen Marcus Smart, you've seen Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and Tatum, and they looked really well together. And then Kemba came back, the first game, they got blown out by the Knicks. Granted, Tatum wasn't playing, but a blown out nonetheless. And I think this is going to do bad for Kemba in the long run. But other than that, Jaylen Brown, I think improving that jump shot was something he had to work on. I think getting that was definitely the reason why he improved so much.
Especially the mid-range. His mid-range game has improved exponentially, and it's opened up so many different things for him.
Let's see what Hater guy has to say.
Look, Jaylen Brown is phenomenal this season. I'm not taking anything away from him. He's one of the better two-way players in the league. And you're telling me that I'm hating on Jaylen Brown. I have him as an all-star starter. Mm-hmm. I'm not hating on Jaylen Brown. Do I think that this efficiency will last? I don't. Do I think that if the Celtics had the chance to trade Jaylen Brown for James Harden, they should have? Yes, I do think so. But I will also say that Jaylen Brown is emerging into one of the better players and a star player in the NBA, to the point that I classify him as a top 22 player now. And I think right now, even though Jayson Tatum, he has the reputation that he's better than Jaylen Brown, I would care to make the argument that Jaylen Brown is on the same level, and there are nights where he looks better than Jayson Tatum. He's taking less shots per game than Tatum and averaging more points. And when Boston plays good teams or whatever team they play, who's the guy they put on the number one option?
Jaylen Brown.
That's Jaylen Brown. It's not Jayson Tatum. So Jaylen Brown is doing what he has to do offensively, and he's playing his butt off defensively, and yesterday, Kemba, Tatum, they were all there for Boston against the Spurs. Brown had 30. So he's scoring. And that's why I think a better question now is, do you think he's better than Jayson Tatum now?
I was always under the impression, I used to tell people, and people used to look at me like I was stupid, I always thought Tatum wasn't that much better than Jaylen Brown. I thought the defense was always what kept Jaylen Brown in the hunt, because defensively I think his versatility is better, and he's just a better defender than Jayson Tatum. But I think right now you're starting to see that Jaylen Brown's getting that scoring going. So now you got a guy who can guard your best player and score with your best player. I don't think Tatum is ever going to reach that guard your best player thing. I think he's going to be able to score with your best player. But I think what the difference is Jayson Tatum is more of a tough shot maker. I think that's why people gravitated to him more. But I think it's definitely close. I will still have the nod over Jayson Tatum.
And correction, he scored 24 against the Spurs, not 30. He scored 33 against the Cavs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he had 24 against the Spurs, though.
But yeah, I think it's close. I will still have Tatum the nod, but like I tell people all the time, it's closer than what Tatum fans like to make it seem. Like, I think it's really close.
I think this season, if we're speaking this season alone, Jaylen Brown has been the better player. Again, it helps his case that Tatum has missed 5 games, and Jaylen Brown really had to carry the load and did it very well. I've always been under the opinion that Jayson Tatum had a higher ceiling, but the more I watch them, I still think he does, but I start to question it, because look at how much Jaylen Brown has improved year by year. And I know he's getting to the ceiling, but where is that going to be? Because he improved by 7 points a game, 2 rebounds, 2 assists last year. Now he's improved by 3 points a game, half a rebound, and an assist. So and his efficiency has improved with that. So I have not seen
and the defense
such
doesn't drop off.
Exponential jumps out of Jayson Tatum, when that's kind of what I expected. I expected Jayson Tatum to be improving at the rate that Jaylen Brown has.
I mean, I'll be honest. I did not expect Jaylen Brown to shoot 44% from 3. And even last year, he shot 38% from 3.
So he can shoot.
I did not think he was going to be that type of shooter. I thought he was going to be a career 34 to 32%
slasher
shooter.
type.
Yeah,
yes.
He looks like that type.
But he's hitting his shots, and if he's hitting his shots, the sky's the limit. I think he still has to improve as a finisher.
Free throws, too.
Because he does miss some easy looks, but that's all he really has to improve on. His handles gotten tighter. He's improved a lot since where he once was from, I think it's much closer, too.
Yeah, I think Boston, I've watched a few Boston games where, Jaylen Brown's the one going off for 35, 40, and Tatum has 18, but they still give Tatum the ball in the ending, and I think that's what they feel as though Tatum is their closer, their finisher. But I think ultimately, I just hope this doesn't break these two apart, because I think Boston has a bright future with these two guys. I hope they don't butt heads and the egos get involved. But like you said, he just has to get better a little bit as a finisher. The free throws got to improve. He's shooting 77%. That has to get better. But other than that, he's still a top-level defender in this league. So I really don't – the sky – for Jaylen Brown, the sky is the limit. But Tatum, the sky is also the limit for him too. So that's going to be good for them.
You know what's pretty crazy? I came across this when I was researching this point, and it's from a Boston radio station website. On attempts while driving, last year, Jaylen Brown averaged 5.3 points per game on 48.8%, and Jayson Tatum averaged 7.9 points per game on 46.6% per attempt, or 46.6%. Now this year, Jaylen Brown is up to 7 points per game on 57.5%, and Jayson Tatum is at 7.6 at 45.6%. So Jaylen Brown has taken a huge leap in that category, where Jayson Tatum's kind of been that same guy. And I feel like I'm just waiting for Jayson Tatum to make that leap to maybe not superstardom, but borderline.
I mean, I think we are waiting for him to make that leap.
I think we're at that point where we're waiting for the superstar league.
And he just hasn't done that yet. And I still think he has that potential, and I know he's young, but eventually he's got to do it.
Yeah,
and Jaylen Brown is doing it.
They're both young.
I mean, it is early in the season.
I think playoff time will really tell us what.
I mean, I think it's a good problem to have that your best two players are pretty much equal to each other. But, I mean, Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, that is a good question that there's not a definitive answer to right now.
Who are you giving the ball to at the end of the game?
Tatum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not thinking about that much, honestly.
Brad Stevens thinks the same thing.
Gave it to Kemba against the Spurs.
Well, against the first game of the season, they kind of answered that question, giving it to Jayson Tatum in an isolation against first Chris Middleton, and they got him a switch onto Giannis, which to me is still an incredibly difficult matchup. That was a hard shot. So I feel, for me, that was Brad Stevens kind of saying to Jayson Tatum.
I'm saying, against the Spurs, he said everybody was playing. He gave the ball to Kemba, and DeJounte stole the ball from Kemba. I thought one of the other two were going to get the ball, but
I love Kemba, but I don't like his fit in Boston.
I mean, I don't know yet.
I think they're better with Marcus Smart starting at the 1.
I don't really think so.
That's 3 all-level defenders at the 1, 2, 3.
I think those are great defenders. I think they're better with that lineup closing, but I think Kemba is a great player. He has to get healthy. You know, he's coming back from an injury, and they fit together perfectly last year. You know, so
he kind of flopped in the playoffs, though.
Yeah, that's the only thing about him. He was dealing with an injury. I think Kemba's a point guard. Marcus Smart is more of a 2 that can handle the ball.
He be doing a lot of dumb stuff.
I mean, Marcus Smart is just as aggressive on the offensive end at times as a lot of these guys. He's not a guy that looks to facilitate and get others involved. Mm-hmm. I think Kemba's a little bit in the middle, and that's why I think he should start at point guard. And I don't think they're better with Marcus Smart starting. You're better with Marcus Smart off the bench.
Depending on the package that they could get in return for Kemba Walker, I think they could be a better team.
You would trade Kemba
without him. I think that they could become a better team trading Kemba Walker. Thinking about the money that he's making.
35, yeah.
They could get a big man to shore up down low.
Who will trade that for Kemba? That's the real question. I don't think so. I don't think they get better with Kemba. I don't think they get better by trading Kemba because I don't think you get a player as good as Kemba.
Don't they still have that $18 million
in a trade?
They do.
I think they should get Drummond still. Based on what we've seen, how he played now, definitely think they should get Drummond.